I went to university straight out of high school, as a lot of people do, and as was expected of me. I worked as a behavior consultant for years after my degree in psychology until I burnt out. I realized I needed a change. When I changed careers later in life, I accepted that there were barriers for me that the guys didn't face. I mean, this was a man's world I was entering. And so I needed to find ways to fit into their culture, right? It was okay that every guy in my apprenticeship class got a job before me. Even the 18-year-old partier who was only in electrical because his parents made him, who had lost his license to a DUI, even he got a job before me. But that was okay. The extra barriers I faced were okay, I thought, because most women didn't want to do this work, right? And then I attended Women Build Nations, the largest gathering of tradeswomen in the world. I sat in a room with 1,500 tradeswomen who were passionate about their trade. And do you know what I realized? I'm not that special. I'm not really a unicorn. Women really do want to do this work. And if women want to do this work, then those extra barriers like discrimination and harassment that women in trades face were suddenly not okay. The first thing I changed was my own antiquated way of thinking. Women do want to do this work. Women shouldn't have to change who they are to do this work. Women should not face discrimination or harassment to do jobs they love. An advocate was born. I am a data-driven analytical person. So of course, when I started advocating for women in trades, I threw statistics and facts at people. Things like the fact that women in trades were barely above 2% and 98% of trades photos were focused on white men might have been fuel for my fire. But for most people, the numbers and statistics held little meaning and didn't engage them. I realized that I had to learn to start telling a story. I learned to tell about my friend who applied for a job, but was told by the employer that he'd once hired a woman who wouldn't go up a 12-foot ladder because she was afraid of heights. And so he would never again hire another woman. I told stories about the graffiti in the porta potties that I had to look at every day, usually of penises drawn. But the longer that I was on site, the higher the chance that the graffiti would start to be about me or any other woman who happened to work on site. I told stories about the foreman who worked, but only referred to his girlfriend as the C word. And I won't use the actual word, I'll just say the C word. He would say things at the lunch table like, the C word made a delicious roast beef last night. The C word and I went out dancing to roosters last night. The stories, all of which were true and too easily pulled from my memory or other women's, reached people in ways that the numbers and statistics could not. And people started listening. The government gave us a research grant to study the barriers for women in trades, as if the stories on their own weren't enough. The research just led to more and more stories, and so many of them were similar. Stories of blatant discrimination, horrendous harassment, and one woman even shared for the very first time about sexual assault that happened to her on the job a decade ago. We created a 180-page document from the research, which you can find in the chat. Getting to travel around the province for 6 months to listen to the stories was a privilege I will always be grateful for. It also provided the leverage to advocate for funding for a center that was led by tradeswomen. The government finally provided funding that helped us open the BC Centre for Women in the Trades. The majority of the center's governance board is women who have worked on the tools. They help set the strategic direction and mission for the center to provide employment assistance, networking, mentoring, educational opportunities, and most importantly, advocacy. Finally, efforts to increase women in trades were being led by women in trades, and we are finally seeing results. I will end by throwing a statistic at you. In just a few years, we've increased the percentage of women in the trades in BC from around 2% to nearly 6%. And to balance the statistics out with a story, more and more, the women coming up in the trades are sharing stories, but they aren't stories anymore of discrimination and harassment. More and more, they're stories of acceptance and inclusion. Slowly, we are changing an entire industry. Thank you. And don't forget, if any of you are in charge of any construction procurement, make sure you ask how many women or Indigenous people the company has before you hire them. Thank you.